So I recently picked up a Variac so I could play my Plexi at 90 volts. And I love how it sounds so far, but is it really doing anything? Let's find out. So a little bit of background as far as what you just heard. The amp is a 50 watt Plexi kit from buildyourown.clone.com. I actually put the amp together a couple of years ago, and I've done a few modifications for it to get it close to the Brown sound. Upon watching the Pete Thorne video about trying to get the Plexis to the Eddie Van Halen spec, I actually put a 50K mid pod in there, and it actually made a huge difference. And I think it gives a little bit more gain, some more mids. It's that sound. It's cool. As far as the recording on that you just heard, the amp is at 90 volts and it's biased hotter for 90 volts. All the controls are on 10. It's just in the first channel on the high gain input, and it just sounds great. So the guitar I was using is my Warmoth Custom Strat. It's nothing particularly close to the Van Halen Strat. It's just what I have. The pickup in it is a Pasadena Black from Pariah Pickups. So that one's trying to model a bit of the Van Halen sound. It's one of the hotter variations of it. It's about 14K or so. And I really like the sound of it. As far as all the pedals hitting the front of the amp, I have the obvious EVH flanger and phaser. I have some tape delay going on from an Eventide H9 going to the front of the amp. And I have some EQ going in as well. I have a little bit of a dip at about 125 and a little bit of a boost at 1K and 2K. That helps you give a little bit more of that screaming thing it has, and then a little bit of boost from the exotic EP booster. After the amp, what you're hearing is a Marshall 1960A cabinet loaded with Celestion Greenbacks and a blend of two SM57s, one kind of voiced darker and one voiced a bit brighter. And beyond that, you just pan the guitar all the way to the left and then you send it to a reverb. So what I have is the IK Multimedia Sunset Sound Reverb, and I did the chamber for Studio 2 since that's the actual reverb that they used. So in order to try to answer the question, does the Variac actually affect the tone of the amp, I've put together a couple comparisons so we can see side by side if anything's actually happening. So I actually added a switch and a second trim pot in the amp, so I have two different biases I can choose from. So when the amp's at regular 120 volts, I have a bias for that, and when it's at 90 volts, I have a bias for that. It's just on a switch. So what we're going to see is the bias set for normal wall voltage, and then check the amp running at regular wall voltage, and then at 90 volts. After that, I'm going to set the Variac to 90 volts, and then we're going to check the two biases and see how that sounds. And then the last one I'm going to do, once again, it'll be set at bias for normal wall voltage, and I'm actually going to turn the Variac in real time so you can actually see as it changes if the sound changes. Now you'll probably notice I added a little voltmeter to the Variac so I actually see where the voltage is. I never actually run it up to 120 volts. That's just because my outlets here run about 110, so I'm not really trying to push it any hotter. So normal wall voltage for me is going to be 110 here. So we're going to compare 110 and 90 basically. So before we get to any of the comparisons, I'm first going to show you what the amp sounds like at 90 volts with the hotter bias with the full effects on lead guitar. After that, I'm going to show you what this amp sounds like totally stock, just so you know where it's all coming from. So now here's the solo to Feel Your Love Tonight. after all that, what do you think? Is there any difference in sound? Do you like one or the other any better? You know, I've never gotten to put it side by side until now. I think it's pretty interesting to see. You know, I've been loving playing the amp at 90 volts at the hotter bias. I think it sounds killer. But, I don't know, maybe it's all in my head. Either way, it's been an interesting adventure for me, experimenting with different stuff with my amp. You know, I actually got to modify it for the first time, and I think it came out better. It's really cool. I don't know, maybe it's more exciting stuff to do in the future. Maybe there's more to do. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of this. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.